The aggregate supply curve. Welcome everyone. Today, we're diving into the aggregate supply curve, a fundamental tool for understanding the macroeconomy. Just like a single market has a supply curve, the entire economy has an aggregate supply curve that shows how much total output firms are willing and able to produce at a given price level. The two faces of aggregate supply. When we talk about aggregate supply, we have to talk about two very different time horizons, the short run and the long run. The short run aggregate supply curve is what most people picture when they think of aggregate supply. The short run aggregate supply is the total output supplied at different price levels, assuming at least some input prices are fixed or sticky. The most important sticky price is often the nominal wage, the axis of the short run aggregate supply curve. On the vertical axis is the price level, which plots the GDP deflator. On the horizontal axis is real GDP. Why the short-run aggregate supply curve is upward sloping. The key feature of the short-run aggregate supply curve is that it slopes upward. As the price level rises, firms produce more real GDP. Why? Firstly, the sticky wage theory, the profit motive. In the short run, many firms have labor contracts that fix the nominal wage. That is the dollar amount. They pay workers for a period of time. If the overall price level of the goods they sell rises unexpectedly, but the nominal wage they pay workers is fixed, what happens to their profits? Profit per unit is given by the price of output less the cost of input, such as wages. Since revenue rises faster than costs, because the wage is sticky, their profit margins increase. This higher profit acts as a signal for firms to temporarily increase production by hiring more workers or using existing workers more intensively over time. This moves us up and right along the short-run aggregate supply curve. Secondly, the sticky price theory. Some firms face menu costs. These are the costs of changing prices, which could entail printing new menus, updating catalogs, reprogramming vending machines. If the price level rises across the economy, some firms with menu costs will lag behind and not immediately raise their prices. Their prices become relatively cheaper compared to other goods. Because their good is now relatively cheaper, they see a surge in demand and respond by increasing production to meet that demand. This also leads to a positive relationship between price level and real GDP. Long-run aggregate supply. The long run is defined as the time period where all prices, that is both output prices and input prices, including nominal wages, are fully flexible and have completely adjusted to the general price level. The long-run aggregate supply curve represents the economy's potential GDP or full employment output. This is the maximum sustainable output the economy can produce when all resources, such as labor, capital, technology, are employed at their natural or normal rates. The long-run aggregate supply curve is perfectly vertical at the level of potential GDP. This based on the intuition that, in the long run, output is determined purely by the economy's real resources, meaning the number of workers, the stock of capital, and available technology. It is not determined by the price level. It also follows the logic of price flexibility, that if the price level doubles, everything doubles. The prices of goods, the prices of inputs, and the nominal wages. However, the firm's real profit is unchanged, and the worker's real wage, purchasing power, is unchanged. Because the real costs and real revenues remain the same, there is no incentive for firms to change the total quantity of goods and services they produce. Therefore, in the long run, changes in the price level only cause inflation, a vertical movement along the long-run aggregate supply, not a change in the economy's productive capacity or real GDP.